morning, gentlemen. People are worried about China. I am also worried. Or China जो is like a dragon. That is the title given to the Chinese. That they are actually a dragon. A dragon एक ऐसा animal होता है. It's a prehistoric animal that can create a lot of mayhem, murder, anything. So, gentlemen, we have this sort of situation going on all over that China is like a bull in the China shop. China is ruled by a communist party and कुछ प्रोग्रेस उन्होंने बहुत जल्दी किया यानी प्रोग्रेस which would take in normal circumstances say 50 or 60 years they did it within 10 years. That is the credit of the Chinese and to the Chinese genius. But एक point होता है up to which you reach and then you start sleeping. Chinese economy officially is supposed to be about $18 trillion. But ये ऊपर से आपको नज़र आ रहा है $18 trillion, अंदर से China is becoming more and more empty. अंदर से खोखला हो रहा है. That is the actual fact which I must tell you that China is not on a strong wicket. उसका रीज़न ये है कि चाइना ने बहुत ज़्यादा ambition बढ़ा ली अपनी. They wanted to dominate the world. बहुत अच्छी बात है. Every country should have that sort of domination which India does not have that sort of wish. Chinese have that wish to dominate the world. But the way they were going about it, that is by giving money to various people and then they thought, those money will have a return, हमको पैसा मिलेगा वापस, we'll have, money makes money grow, but it didn't happen that way. China, for example, spent about $70 billion, I think $60-70 billion on the corridor, the Pakistan-China corridor up to Gwadar. That is money, जैसे कहते हैं ना, कुएं में डाल दिया. And this is precisely what happened. China is getting no returns on it, and the money has been lost. They might get some control of the Gwadar port, but then what use is that to China? China had the same stunt in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka went bankrupt. They couldn't pay the money, and the Chinese began to reschedule loans. They got the Hambapota port, but उसको लेके क्या करेंगे? There's a dead port. They got it in lease for 99 years. So similarly, all over Africa, the same thing is happening. The Chinese, who have deep pockets, gave billions of dollars worth of loans, easy credit, and net result was these countries just could not pay back. And the Chinese economy is gone to doldrums. Another thing which has happened in China is that the various construction companies which China had floated, those companies have collapsed. China had built cities thinking that the villages will be replaced by cities and more people will, go to the cities. High-rise apartments were made, but they have not been sold. And I think close to $1 trillion has been lost in these grandiose schemes. China is thus financially weak now, and they cannot even risk a war. I can tell this much, that the question of the Chinese invading Taiwan is just not there, and China will not like to fight a war with India also. What China is interested in? Only pressure tactics. Some pressure here and there and maybe a few shots fired and gunshots and create a threat perception and play on the weakness of the Western world, particularly the Americans. The Americans have a soft corner for China. That is the fact of history, right from the time Averell Harriman, who was the representative of Roosevelt, went to China during the Second World War and met Mao Zedong and the Kuomintang leader General Chiang Kai-shek. Americans have already had an interest in China. They like China very much. And even now, when Biden became president, his first words was that China is not a rival. No. It's not an enemy. No. It's a competitor. Wonderful. This is the way you think. Your biggest enemy is China. Doesn't say that. And ultimately, Biden, as you know, there's probably a background to his. His son is involved in a lot of shady deals. It's not I who am stating it. It's there in the American press. And now the situation is that China is leaking its chops. Chinese government is very severe. They've tried their level best to control Tibet. They've tried their level best to control Xinjiang, but there is still an undercurrent of resentment against the Chinese. It's continuing. And now the Chinese, who do not know democracy or anything at all, are now being dictated by the party. Some of the top industrialists, like the owner of Alibaba, he was put in jail. I mean, there's no trial, nothing. He just didn't toe the party line, and they said, "Okay, friend, you come and sit in jail." So Chinese are in serious problem economically, I feel. And I'm not an economic expert, but I can see the signs all over. China is now beginning to implode from inside, and that is very, very dangerous as far as China is concerned. First of all, they're maintaining a massive military, and they have bases all over the world. They can't sustain those bases. उनके लिए भी पैसा चाहिए bases के लिए to run them. They have bases in Somalia, they have bases in Pakistan, and they have got some rights in Burma. Everybody is thinking China's got a lot of money to be on the side of the Chinese. China is belligerent. They've occupied the entire South China Sea. And mind you, this occupation of South China Sea was with the concurrence of the Americans. Right from the time of Clinton, the probably a thing was taken, we don't want Russia. Russia will remain our enemy. So we should be friends with China, because China's got a big population, a big market. So they invested billions of dollars in China, and net result is China did what is called cloning, and reverse engineering. And करके उन्होंने अपने product बना दिए, and their economy went up. And from an agrarian economy with an income which was below India, they are now 6 times more income than India. That is per capita income. Even their GDP is more. But when you reach the top, you start slipping. And this, because the Chinese economy is founded on very unsound principles. It was not market economics. It was government dictated economics. Government dictated economics का मतलब ये है कि वहाँ strike नहीं है, no strike allowed by the workers. You continue working, and whatever wages are there, you just take it, accept it, and continue, but produce the goods. That is number one. Number two, they wanted the capital to come. It came in. They thought they will invest that capital. They invested it in various other countries by giving loans, grants, and whatnot, thinking there will be a return. The return became zero, and those billions of dollars just went down the drain. All this has affected the Chinese economy. And China is maintaining a massive army. Or what for that army is there? China has got a peaceful border with Russia. It has got a peaceful border with North Korea. And with India, they are keeping the border alive. Because they don't want India should be able to go forward in this world. Of course, the Indian leadership has been very weak. But that is a different issue. And हर पे जो कहावत है ना, fear is the key. Indian policy तो इससे dictate होती चाइना के साथ, चाइना के लिए. So gentlemen, we have to be very, very careful, because a drowning man जो है, he can do anything. Chinese economy is sinking, and मेरे ख्याल में आप देखते रहिए, it will sink more and more, and there could be a level of bankruptcy coming in. Of course, they'll cover it up, because the Chinese are basically a dictatorial state. A state that believes in one-man rule, and President Xi is the man. He can catch anybody, put him in jail, which Modi can't do it. So, gentlemen, we'll have to have a look now again at China. As I've told you, China has not fought a war after 79, that's 45 years, and they're going to fight another war also. That way they are pragmatic. But there is the big but. What happens if the Chinese economy collapses? Which is very well likely to happen. And though they will cover it up, and they will allow their people to suffer a lot of hardship, because that is part of the dictatorship. After all, you must remember that when Mao Zedong was leading the Chinese, 20 to 30 million people died when he was the leader of China. There was the Great Famine, there were the purges, there were so many things going on which Mao carried out. And yet the Chinese are saying he's our hero. Wonderful. You have a nice hero who executes or kills almost 20 to 30 million people. So China has got a lot of population, so they don't mind these things happening. They're facing another big problem. There's a demographic problem. More boys, less women. One. Number two, an aging population, because they put birth control, one child per norm, And now the Chinese women are so much used to just one child, they don't want to have any more children. And there is a declining graph as far as age graph is concerned. So China is in problems. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens now and further. I think I will close now. Do subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends. Come back for more. God bless. Till we meet again.